Alrighty, I got something kind of interesting here that you're not likely to see on the regular at all. Now, of course, this one below me, you will. This here, despite my shockingly bright flash, that's just a run-of-the-mill quartz watch. This is just a junky Chinese thing. It looks nice enough, but like a lot of these things, you get up close and you realise it's crap. And of course you got all your standard bits and bobs. What you can see right down the bottom there, a little white circle, in case you don't notice already, which you probably can, and I'll try and refocus if it wants to do it, which it doesn't, is that's a little white plastic cog in the middle. And you can see there's little smaller ones off to the side and stuff, bits and pieces, all going on in there. But yeah, that's just your run-of-the-mill sort of thing. You got your front dial, which is your silver you can see in the front there. You got this plastic thing, which actually pops out completely. That's just your movement holder, crown or winder, whatever you want to call it, stem, and then your movement. And that's just your run-of-the-mill Chinese crapola that you can see by the really low quality castings. It's just a Chinese piece of shit. If you're wondering how I get into the back of these too, by the way, and have the strap out of the way, often you'll find something that's like a little spring bar that's somewhere in the whole latch mechanism, and then you can just push it through one side with the end of a set of run-of-the-mill tweezers, and it'll spring in and you can take it out. And that's exactly what I've done with the other one that we're about to look at here, which is a lot different a beast of a watch. Bugger, it's not still going, but before, maybe I'll give it a little... See that little cog you can see? Right in the middle there, a little one there. He was jumping around before. You can't see it now. Unfortunately, the battery might have fully given up the ghost. I'll give things a little wiggle and a play. Sometimes if we disconnect to time change and reconnect, sometimes that'll kick it off again. And if you look very closely, you could see a couple of little jumps from it. Watching. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to do it. But it was jumping before because the battery's going flat on it. Now this is a quartz watch as well, and you think, well, so bloody what? Yes, but notice it's very different. The movement holder is in that cack old beige plastic that you used to see in the back of things back in the 1980s. The battery is a significantly larger battery. Oh, have we seen it? Oh, now you can see it jumping. Now you see a little cog jumping. And notice something else too. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4 joules. What's this business? That's an old school 1980s style circuit board with that ugly looking 1980s style plastic around the outside. Larger battery than normal. Completely jeweled movement. There's at least going to be 8 joules in that movement. The keyless works, which runs all your winder stuff. That's all exposed mechanical. And you can actually see the little cog, as I was pointing out before, that drives everything. And surprise, surprise, there's not a shitty white plastic cog. That's a brass cog. This here is a watch made in the USSR that I bought off eBay. Specifically, it's a Looch And I suppose the movement number would be, what is it, L2350? Whatever the hell that number is there. Runs up there. But basically this is made in the last days of the USSR. This might be in 1987 and 1989. That sort of time. Made in Belarus. Luch is still going to this day. But it just... The way the Soviets used to do quartz watches was almost like we're just getting a mechanical watch and we're converting it to this new stepper motor technology. We're doing everything bare bones. A lot of the time, some of the other ones that I've seen photos of, you'll actually have the battery upside down in a very bizarre looking battery holder, and the what's his name coming out, the circuit board comes out, and it's been bare copper that they've completely tinned the tracks with solder, and you can see all these bare tin tracks all just open in the back with this bizarre looking battery holder that actually has a screw each side, and you've got to take both screws out, or at least one out, and swing it out the way, and the battery's mounted upside down from every other watch you've seen. That's a usual Soviet way to do quartz watches, but they had a great tendency to sort of almost get them, and it was almost like a butchered mechanical watch, a converted mechanical watch, and that's just the way they done their watches before the whole show fell over. And yeah, some of these companies are still around today. I don't know how they do them today. I'm going to have to borrow a few Soviet watches off someone for a video. Several of them, and do a bit of a talk about all the funny quirks and standardizations and the standard ways that the Soviets would do everything, which in some ways are very specifically their own style, their own way. Most people don't know it, but at one point there, for quite a few years, they produced more watches than anyone else in the world, including the Swiss, and there was a hell of a lot that ended up in the West with a different name on them. But when you see the original Soviet one and the other one with a name, they're absolutely, completely identical. Yeah, Soviets, they had their real specific ways and their specific traits, and even some of their brands had more specific brand things. But I tell you what, their watches are so far ahead of every other blasted thing they produced. In many ways, they were better than even Japanese watches, but it just, they got their quirks. So I'm going to have to borrow a few and show you all these particular things that they often have or do, because they're quite intriguing in their own way, of their own set of ways they used to do things.